Okay, now it's time to get back to our normal programming. So I had the pleasure. I'm gonna have a hard time making this video because I really am gonna have to restrain myself in a lot of ways in terms of what I say. And I will tell you this: I had a great time playing this course. The course I played was Falcon Ridge Golf Course. It is in Mesquite, Nevada, which is right on the border between Arizona and Nevada. And it's an interesting place. It definitely is. This whole experience was interesting. And I can basically summarize this by saying I actually thought about moving to Mesquite after playing this course. I thought that the whole thing is they've got Oasis there, they've got the Conestoga course, they've got Wolf's Creek and Falcon Ridge, and I'm like, I could play these courses for a year, just playing these same four courses. For me personally, it doesn't take a lot to have a decent course. I've stayed in Page for 3 months and played the course at Page, and was largely content playing it until I realized, I like, you get to the point it's like eating your favorite food, and you're like, okay, I can't eat this anymore. If it's good, you enjoy it, and the better it is, the more you enjoy it. But there does come a point where you've had enough, you're saturated with it, no matter how good it is. And I think for that reason, we have to have alternate courses to play. And in Mesquite, they have four really good courses. Oasis is two courses. There's two 18-hole courses there. Falcon Ridge is one course. Okay, and it's one of the better courses I've ever played as a course. As this is the thing, as a golf course, it is an excellent course. And then you, on top of that, you have the wind, which is a normal thing in this part of the country. You just have these days and times when the wind is like blowing. It's before there's a storm rolls in. The wind starts gusting for a long time before then. And the course, Falcon Ridge itself, runs along the top or the bottom of a set of valleys. Like there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 valleys, in hilltops and valleys and hilltops and valleys and hilltops. From the far end of the course until you get down to Route 15, which is the highway that passes from St. George down to Las Vegas, it's in a big valley overall, but on the sides of that valley are some hills and crests and hills and crests and stuff, right? And so Falcon Ridge is basically a 6,500 yard course from the back tees. It's rated slope 131, 2, not that high really, from the back tees. It's 6,500 yards from the back tees. It's not a very long course. And again, this course had the phenomenon where it has the tees, and then there's a championship tee on some of the holes that's behind the tees, or they move the black tees up slightly, to the forward part, or the but there basically were not back tees behind the tees that I played on almost every hole. Okay, the back tees were at the back of the hole, so I didn't get that feeling of being shorted out of distance of the course. Okay, none of that whatsoever. Okay. It definitely was long enough to be a challenge, and it definitely was tough to play. And I think I had a good round. My play yesterday was good enough where maybe just one time I thought I'd gotten really kind of screwed up, and it was largely because my finger on my left hand is somewhat strained from slipping down the side of a hole at Wolf's Creek, and I sort of slipped and put my hand down and sprained my finger again. Not the first time I've done it, but the problem with that is it definitely affects my iron play. I can't swing a club at full power or anything near it unless I pull my finger to stretch the ligaments out and stuff. Otherwise, it'll just jam up and I'm going, in pain. So one of the more interesting holes in the course, I actually scored high because I put 3 balls in the water before I put the next shot on the green. And I was like, man, shit, I have to do it. I have to swing this club correctly. I can't cheat. My feet position has to be right. My stance has to be right. And then I can hit the ball, the way I should. If I don't, if it's not right, I'll just slice the ball into the lake in front of me, which is exactly what I did once, twice, 3 times. And then I was like, I'm going to hit this damn green and I'm going to make this shot right. I don't care. I got warmed up and I put it, 10 feet from the pin, which happens. It's one of the consequences of being a part-time golfer, playing once a week. You have issues that keep you from hitting shots, and you have to work through those issues. And those issues help you to become a better player. You know what you need to do to make a shot, and you can make the shot. So one of the excellent things about this is not only is it a good course, it's a good layout, it's in a good environment, it's a challenging environment to play in. It is not just a neighborhood course. It is a neighborhood desert course. And that involves certain compromises, is you don't have the sides of the course cut down or full of trees or full of grass and long vegetation and so forth. It's not like a flat course across the hole. 9 out of 10 of the holes are decent in the middle where the fairway is. There's some rough on the sides and so forth, but the sides either slope down into somebody's backyard, and there were a lot of holes like that had slopes where it went up into somebody's backyard, and then the other side could either slope down into some ridge full of waste or valley full of waste, or down to the street below, or down, I'm talking like 2 stories down into the desert somewhere. So the difference between this course and Wolf's Creek, which is similar in a lot of ways, but the big difference is very rarely on Wolf's Creek do you have this verticality where you're playing on the side of a cliff or something, side of a hill, and the side of the course drops way down into nothing. Into just waste. There's a lot more of that at Falcon's Creek than there is at Wolf's Creek, at Falcon's Ridge than there is at Wolf's Creek. And this is one of the big differences where Falcon's Creek kind of brought a balance to the table that Wolf's Creek doesn't really have. It's a nice, don't get me wrong, Wolf's Creek is a nice course to play, and it's slightly shorter, which you definitely notice, and it has holes which are very tough, especially in the wind, which you will definitely notice, okay? But at the same time, it's still a rather compact layout. It has a lot more parts of the course where they're sloping up and so forth, but the ball naturally isn't going to go flying way off in the middle of nowhere. It's not like lost. You just have to go up and find it in the rocks and stuff, which not necessarily easy, but it's not necessarily hard either. And it does tend to be more forgiving of a course than Falcon Ridge does, because you just don't have all that rescue area at Falcon's Ridge that you have at Wolf's Creek. So in my opinion, it is not as extreme in terms of difficulty as Wolf Creek is, where there's some holes at Wolf's Creek which are almost unplayable, even for me, okay? I'll be honest with you. Where I'm like, I just want to get off this hole and as fast as I can. I know I'm not going to play it well. I know I'm not going to have a great score. I have trouble reaching the fairway. There's all this stuff off the sides of the fairway. Like on I think it's anyone who's played there knows how tough 11 is. I actually played 11 pretty well the second time I played it. Had really little problem with it. Then there's 12, which is a dogleg right going up the hill, which was, again, a lot easier the second time I played it. And then there's 13, right? 13 is that ridiculous dogleg left that goes over this huge valley where it drops off like 300 feet down to the bottom of the valley. You have to carry that valley to get to the fairway. Then from there, it's a crescent left up the hill to the top of the to the green. And almost nobody I ever seen play that hole can carry that fairway from the back tees, from the blue tees at Wolf's Creek. Okay, you need to be able to carry a 275-yard valley to get to that fairway, And when the wind is blowing, it is virtually impossible to hit that fairway, even if you do make the carry. So 9 times out of 10, you either end up in the waist to the right or way down in this valley to the left. When I would say that hole is by far the hardest hole on Wills Creek, by far. The rest of the course is actually fairly decent in terms of difficulty. There's nothing like that at Falcon's Ridge. There is no extreme hole like that at Falcon's Ridge, but there is, I think, a higher average level of difficulty. Even the one hole that I lost 4 balls on, 3 balls really, which is similar in terms of difficulty, is still not that difficult. It's just a difficult hole compared to all the other holes that are on Falcon's Ridge. It's still not as hard as 13 at Wills Creek, but the difference is most of the holes at Falcon's Ridge are close to that level of difficulty. And it is I think a far more challenging course to play overall than Wills Creek is, because so much of Wills Creek is just right there in front of you. It's a little bit of a challenge, there's no question, but you basically play the hole and get on about your business. It's not like, you're really going to suffer, a crushing ego blow on most of the holes of Wills Creek. Falcon Ridge will basically, seriously challenge you as a golf course. And I thought it was much more rewarding. It's $75 where Wills Creek is $130. Yes, the problem it has is during the time that I played, they closed the clubhouse at noon, so you have to get a morning tee time, which is a challenge for me because it takes me 2 hours to drive there. I really was sweating that for a point there where you go through St. George and the time goes forward an hour. And my cell phone changed time also, which is annoying when you suddenly look up and it's like 15 minutes for your tee time and you look at your phone. But ultimately what I think is I would play Falcons Creek happily several times before I got tired of it. It was really that good of a course. It had a lot of houses in the first 9 holes. The second 9 holes still has a lot of houses, but they're farther away because the back of the course is much more hilly and mountainous and rugged than the front is. And the clubhouse is really nice. It's a fairly conservative and standard type of clubhouse. And the restaurant that's there is likewise nice. And they waited for me to finish. I was the last guy off the course. Okay. I finished at about 4:30 after starting at 11:30 and making my way around this course, just having a time of my life, having a great time playing it and drinking beers and so forth. It was a lot of fun. It was nice seeing the views that you see from the course. I did not take shots of the views off the course or from the holes. I tried to stick to the shots of the course itself because I didn't want to spoil whatever pleasure you would get from going to Mesquite and looking at it from an altitude of 500 feet. There's no airport there. There is a lot of car noise. At least there's no airport near the course like there is at Wills Creek. There is a lot of car noise because there is a lot of traffic around the course. And I played during the week in a period of the year where there's not much, in terms of activity there because it's so hot. It's not like, it was 75 degrees which it would be in March or April or in November or December. The course had a lot of damage on the greens. You could clearly see greens which were burnt out and the grass had white patches and dead patches and so forth. And I had some instances of greenskeeper fouling, which I hate. But luckily, they were short, just a couple of holes, and I was able to move on past that. Pretty much had the course to myself, the whole backside, and just had the time of my life. Had a great time playing it. I was not going to actually play another course out west because I'm making my way back home, and I didn't want to spend the time and the money to play another course. But it took me about another week to get to the point, based upon some other stuff that I'm doing, where I felt like I absolutely needed to just get a drive and then go out and play golf. And which this is the kind of thing that I normally do, is I will work my ass off during the week and then go play golf to just escape all the other shit that I've been doing in the week. So for me, it was another benefit. I got to go out there and do stuff that generally makes me want to play golf and not worry about the cost of playing it. So I enjoyed that. There was a lot of things I enjoyed about this trip to this course, a whole lot of things. And I can only imagine how crowded and noisy this course would be when the weather's nice, especially on the weekend. This is another thing I say to anyone and everyone who hears my opinion about golf. You need to not play on the weekends, and you need to not care so much about score that you're focused on score and focused on your shot and miss the course that you're playing on. And then people want to get all uptight about the quality of the course. Well, how nice are the tee boxes? How nice are the greens? Blah, blah. I said, look, if you're really into golf, you don't really care about how nice the tee boxes are and how nice the greens are. What you're going to play golf for is because you want a status function, that you can get out with people and wear really nice clothes and spend a lot of money with expensive gear and all this kind of stuff, and basically have a status outing at the course. And then the score, is always seen as a measure of how valid your opinion is of golf. Like, sorry, look, you don't need to shoot 75 to have a valid opinion about golf. And anyone who says that to you is full of shit. And you just need to find a tree and stick their head in it somewhere, okay? Golf is about enjoying the game, not the score. It's about enjoying the scenery and environment that you're playing in, yes, but not because it's well manicured. It's nature that you're supposed to be getting out and enjoying, not ostentation and elitism and all this other nonsense that goes along with being wealthy, I don't need to go to Montauk to have a good time at the beach. I'm going to put it that way. And I sure as hell don't need to play at Trump Bedminster or some course that, is just some hoity-toity course to have a good time playing golf. And as such, I would definitely have to say that there's a lot of things that are imperfect and I would wish they were otherwise at Falcon Ridge. But the golf is excellent. It's just really good golf. It is not a 145 course, and you're not going to have a course like Bethpage Black or Scottsdale National, which are impressive layouts and stuff. But I think you'd have a great time playing it if you really enjoy golf for what golf should be, in my opinion, for what it is if you're not an ostentatious asshole. Yeah, it's going to look cheesy in places and so forth and so on. There's no doubt about it. But it really is always a good round, a good course to play on. Hole after hole after hole after hole. And if you don't like it, and I can understand a lot of people won't like it, if you don't like it, fine. Okay? It's not your course. It's not your kind of place. But if you're not the kind of person who would think that your average muni is too low for you to play it, okay, you're going to love this course. There's no question about it. It's an awesome course. And I definitely have to give it a B+. I can't give it an A. It's definitely, at least the condition it was in right now, it's not perfect. But it's pretty close to an A course, considering where it is. In the middle of nowhere in Nevada, there's this town that just springs up. It's a cheesy trailer trash town in a lot of ways. There's no question about it. There's a lot of gambling. You see a lot of people there, that stay in casinos a lot of time there. But if that's not who you are and you're there to play golf, then Falcon Ridge is a great place to play. And it does have a lot of air. There's a lot of place you can see a lot of the surrounding area around Mesquite. And if it wasn't 100 degrees, it would be awesome. It would be a great place to go and play. And if you want a great place to go and play golf, Mesquite is a good place to go and play golf. And this course is an awesome course. It's that simple. So I almost want to give it an A on principle. Okay. But yeah, it's still just a town in the middle of nowhere in Nevada. you know, I understand the limitations. I don't think it's credibly an A course. I think a B plus, a very solid B plus, is what this course deserves. That's Falcon Ridge Golf Course in Mesquite, Nevada.